Welcome everybody to the Luke 21 channel. We're in part 2 of Who Are the Four Beasts of Daniel chapter 7. In part 1 we looked at the first two beasts, the lion with the wings of an eagle that were torn off, which we concluded that was Great Britain. We also looked at the bear of Daniel chapter 7 with the 3 ribs in its mouth, and we concluded that that was Russia with 3 countries to its side, possibly Latvia, Estonia and Lithuania. And today we're going to be looking at the last two beasts, the leopard with the 4 heads and the wings of a rooster or a bird, and the New World Order, which we will see is the 4th terrifying beast. So the first one we're going to look at here this morning is the tank, or the Germany, the leopard. And it's interesting that the third beast looked like a leopard, which had 4 wings and 4 heads. And as we can see in the picture here, we know that leopards are fast and they have spots, but Germany's main battle tank since the 1970s has been the Leopard tank. And I believe that they're producing or trying to develop the Leopard 2 tank. So this picture shows you the Leopard tank in Germany, where they manufacture it. But in World War II, Germany did the Blitzkrieg, very fast conquering of France with its tanks. Never been done before. It was a military technique. Blitzkrieg means lightning attack. And this was achieved using mechanized warfare, including the tank. And the spots of the leopard could possibly mean the 27 EU nations, or as of 2022, or the 39 pre-unification German states before 1871. Before 1871, in the 1800s, there was lots of different spots, so to speak, German states, and they were unified in the Second Reich, if you like. The 4 wings could mean France, as France and Germany are the powerhouses of the European Union. Even today, the symbol of France since the Middle Ages has been the rooster. So this possibly could be the wings that are referred to on the leopard's back. It's interesting that it had 4 wings, and we think, well, not many birds have 4 wings, but if you look at the rooster, which is the animal of France, the cockerel, hens and roosters, chickens, have 4 wings because they have a joint there. I mean, if you can think about when you eat a roast chicken, you can see that it's got like 4 sections to the wings. So the 4th Reich, which we've got a picture of here as well, is actually a book written by Rosenfeld, and he speculated that Nazism is gaining popularity again, and especially in Europe. In recent days we've seen some disputes and arguments between the left, the far left and the far right. The Compact magazine was banned just recently. So the 4th beast, or could be the terrifying beast, is the future New World Order. The leopard, like the beast, Germany, is unique in that it has 4 heads, whereas all the other beasts of Daniel chapter 7 only have 1 head each. So what do the 4 heads represent? Now, this is where we've got to try and fit prophecy in to, we've got to fit the modern day interpretation into Daniel chapter 7 prophecy. Now, the beasts themselves represent particular empires or kingdoms, major empires or kingdoms. We saw that the lion was like the British Empire, the bear was like the Russian Empire, and we saw that now we're seeing the leopard is like the German Empire. And there were 3 Reichs. The 3rd Reich was under Hitler. And so each time that nation rears its ugly head, so to speak, it's another time when that empire rises and falls. So there have been 3 German Reichs, as I mentioned. The First Reich was the Holy Roman Empire, first ruled by Frankish king Charlemagne from 800 to 1806. The Second Reich was the German Empire under Otto von Bismarck from 1871 to 1919, just after World War I, because of the failure of Germany in World War I. And so the unification of the German states, the 39 German states, happened in the 1800s, and they were unified from 1871 onwards for about nearly 50 years. But then, of course, we know from history that the Third Reich was Adolf Hitler's rule only 12 years long, from 1933 to 1945, which I believe is also the seventh mountain in Revelation chapter 17. But the leopard has 4 heads. And go back to that picture, that original first picture there where we see the 4 beasts. You can see the 4 beasts of the leopard and the wings there. But the leopard has 4 heads, and there's been talk of a 4th Reich in the future. And we'll go back to that picture of the 4th Reich book, because it's a very interesting picture there, speculation by Gabriel Rosenfeld, and he's written on the subject, and others have also written on about a possible 4th Reich. So the idea and concept is a very real one. If Adolf Hitler is the Antichrist, which I believe he's the best candidate, then it's likely that he will want to establish a 4th Reich, because he already established the 3rd Reich. I mean, originally, Adolf Hitler said that his Reich was going to last 1,000 years. And if he's empowered by the devil, then he's going to want to do that again. Of course, he has to rise from the dead, which this is what Revelation chapter 17 says as well. Satan has unfulfilled ambitions, and he's likely going to try again, because he probably tried back then, but it wasn't to be. But according to Bible prophecy, the beast is going to rise out of the abyss. The abyss is where the worst of sinners are, and evil angels. So he has unfulfilled ambitions. Even Hitler himself, he said, I've got a job for a century, he said, and I will rise again, he said. So there's many prescient sayings and quotes from Hitler indicating that that wasn't the end of things. So the thing is that he will succeed for a time, times and half a time. Satan will, through his agent of the beast, and he's going to completely defeat the saints until the Ancient of Days comes. One thing for sure is that there's been a rise in Nazism in recent years. It's hard for many people who I've talked to envisage the rise of a 4th Reich because of the hatred for what Hitler did to the Jews, and being the author of an extermination program, as was the case in the 1930s and 40s. And it's the worst extermination of Israel and the Jews ever in history, ever since back in the day where Haman was wanting to exterminate the Jews. And of course that was unsuccessful, but Hitler was successful to some degree. In fact, he eliminated 2/3 of the Jews at that time, which is interesting fraction itself. So the 4th terrifying beast in Daniel's vision disturbed Daniel, and he wanted to know the meaning of this beast because it was so different. If you read in Daniel chapter 7, verse 15, he says, I, Daniel, was troubled in spirit, and the visions that passed through my mind disturbed me. I approached one of those standing there and asked him the true meaning of all this. So he told me and gave me the interpretation of these things. The 4 great beasts are 4 kingdoms that will arise from the earth. So 2 of these kingdoms were already, if this was prophecy was relating to ancient prophecy, and many people, commentators say that the lion was Babylon, and Russia was, not Russia, the bear was Persia, but these kingdoms were already going at that time, so it has to be some time in the future, even to in the day that we live in right now. But verse 17 says, the 4 great beasts are 4 kingdoms that will arise from the earth, but the saints of the Most High will receive the kingdom and will possess it forever, yes, forever and ever. Then I wanted to know the true meaning of the 4th beast, which was different from all the others and most terrifying, with its iron teeth and bronze claws, the beast that crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. I also wanted to know about the 10 horns on its head, and about the other horn that came up, before which 3 of them fell, the horn that looked more imposing than the others, and that had eyes and a mouth that spoke boastfully. There's one thing we can say about Hitler: he spoke boastfully. And in the future, when the New World Order comes, as we can see on this picture here, there's going to be 10 horns, or 10 kings And in fact, in verse 24 of Daniel chapter 7, it says the 10 horns are 10 kings who will come from this fourth terrifying beast. And we know that the Club of Rome has established those 10 regions many, many years ago. And the Club of Rome still exists, by the way. So there is moves afoot to get rid of nations and nationalism and make it into a more of a world economic system, more of a, and this is what the WEF, the World Economic Forum, is wanting to do as well, so that we are ruled by the elite, so to speak. You can see in Australia, New Zealand, and it looks like South Africa as well, that was designated as Region 4. Now, this might not be the end result of those 10 regions, we don't know, it's only speculation at this time, but this is a possibility, of course. So he was very disturbed by it, and it had iron teeth and bronze claws. And it's interesting that, World War II, with all of the tanks and the planes and the mechanised war machines, were all made out of steel and iron. So this is what's going to happen again, I believe. Now, this crushing indicates to me that opposition to this kingdom will not be tolerated. Everything will be trampled underfoot. Opposition, your own way of thinking, is going to be opposed, and you're going to have to comply. Complete compliance will be required by everybody on earth, and this is where the mark of the beast system is going to come in. It will be a surveillance kingdom, and any opposition will be wiped out. So the beast had 10 horns, and then another little horn came up. We see that in Daniel chapter 7, where it says that the fourth terrifying beast was different from all the other former beasts, and it had 10 horns in verse 7. While I was thinking about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth that spoke boastfully. So this is where I'm getting the idea that it's Adolf Hitler who comes back from the dead, and he, in my mind, in my opinion, is the best candidate for the Antichrist. So what we have here is 10 initial kings who don't seem to have any authority. In other words, they are not crowned. Maybe they are designated as kings in name only, in preparation for the arrival of the little horn, or the Antichrist. When the little horn arises, he's going to subdue 3 of them, and then these final 10 will in turn turn on the harlot woman of Revelation 17, which is Babylon the Great, and they will be given total authority for 1 hour, only a very short time, the last 3.5 years. And then Revelation 13:1 has a vision of this fourth terrifying beast, and it says that the beast's 10 kings have the horns are crowned, meaning they have a crown on them, meaning they are now official, and they're given an actual area and region to have authority over one of these 10 regions. But it seems like the Antichrist installs, first of all, he installs 3 of his own. He gets rid of 3 of them, perhaps because they are in opposition and they're not complying. And then he installs his puppet kings all over the world. So the little horn arises later in this fourth kingdom, which indicates that the kingdom will be the final empire before the Antichrist arises from the abyss at the halfway mark of the 70th week, the last 7 years. So the New World Order, this fourth terrifying beast, is what morphs into the final beast kingdom. And we see it's like a transition period when we read carefully Daniel chapter 7. And the fourth beast kingdom is the kingdom that we're all going to experience very soon, in the next 5 years, 6 years or so, leading into the 2030s. So we need to watch for the rise of the 10 kings or rulers from the world being divided into those 10 regions. This is the New World Order, and over the years we've had slips of the tongue indicating and using these worlds. In fact, George Bush Senior talked about the New World Order, and there's been other health leaders in COVID-19 talked about when the New World Order comes and arrives. So the think tank, the Club of Rome in 1973, as I mentioned, proposed dividing the world into 10 regions, and so that may be the blueprint for this fourth beast. And we're going to see this come up in the news and in the media more and more. I believe by the end of this decade, we're going to see the New World Order, this fourth terrifying beast, come to be. But there is one final beast, the fifth beast, that incorporates the four beasts before it. And it's a combination beast, and it's the beast kingdom. It's not one of these four, but it's a combination of all these four: the lion, the bear, the leopard, and the fourth terrifying New World Order beast. And that's when we read about that in Revelation 13, 1-4. Daniel didn't see this beast in his vision, but he saw the transition. He saw the rise of the lamb, the little horn, who comes up when the beast arises from the abyss. It's a conglomerate beast, and it has the characteristics of all the other four. It's going to be ferocious like the bear. It's going to defeat all those who oppose it. Having the bear's feet, it will have the mouth of the lion, speaking against the Most High and making great boasts. Its body, however, is like the leopard beast. Its main body is like the leopard beast, meaning that it will be mainly, I believe, Germany, led by Germany and the European Union, which are in control of this final 42-month beast. So Daniel saw that 3 of these kings will be subdued, then the little horn is going to take over and install his own 10 puppet kings in there for times and half a time, or 42 months. And so this really fits in neatly with my belief that Adolf Hitler is the most likely candidate to be the head that has the fatal head wound, but revives and astonishes the world, because the world's going to be astonished when they see the beast rising from the abyss, from the dead. It's a kind of like a resurrection kind of situation, and God's going to allow that. So Hitler, the third head, will rise to be the fourth head, and he will be the Antichrist. He may not even call himself by his old name, but may even inherit a new name commensurate with his new reign of terror that also works in with the number 666. Remember that the beast is a kingdom, but it's also a man. And it's interesting, I've been watching a few documentaries and read lots of books on the Nazi kingdom, and all those close to Adolf Hitler at the Berghof, where he stayed a lot of the time during the 12 years, particularly during the war, World War II, he was known as Wolf. They called him Wolf, and some people called him Little Wolf. But it's interesting because Hitler's first name, Adolf, means noble wolf. And the wolf is the epitome of the beast that cannot be tamed, but is wild in nature and temperament. The wolf was the enemy of the sheep, and we are the sheep, so to speak. And Christ is the Lamb of God. In Matthew 10:16, Jesus warns his disciples that they're being sent out as sheep amongst wolves. Wolves are also false teachers. The noble wolf will have his victory over many sheep in the last 3.5 years. And in keeping with the nature of the wolf, the rising Antichrist may even change his name to try and hide his true nature. And so I'm going to leave it there for now. Of course, all this has got to play out. This is only, I'm calling it speculation, but I'm trying to fit the scriptures into the meaning of prophecy. It's a very difficult thing. Obviously, I could be wrong, but hopefully that's given you some insight to study yourself. And so, thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see how it all pans out. Thank you.